And now to this exclusive look that we got here in I-24 News. Over the past few weeks, we've brought you the stories of Palestinian hunger strikers in Israeli prisons. Nearly over 5,700 Palestinian security prisoners are currently in Israeli jails, and they are strongest bargaining chip any Israeli government has in prisoner release negotiations. I-24 News received exceptional permission to visit one facility holding Palestinian inmates and to see what goes on behind the walls of one of Israel's most tightly guarded prisons. A report by Tami Arel and edited by Anmar Faour.
The pastoral setting of the Jezreel Valley in northern Israel also contains the Gilboa prison. It's home to some of the worst terrorists the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has produced in recent years. Around 600 of the prisoners here were jailed for security offenses, and they come from different organizations, including Fatah, the Islamic Jihad, and even of late, prisoners who identify with the Islamic State terror group.
We're approaching the end of Ramadan. So far, Ramadan has passed quietly, and as the end nears, we have to show sensitivity to the person. Even though all appears calm at the moment, it's impossible to know what's going on under the surface.
And Eli Gabay knows the surface well. He spent years in a secret IDF unit, and in recent years has administered this prison. He's fully aware that quiet does not always foreshadow good tidings.
In the last days, we nabbed several cell phones and a prong. There are prisoners from the Popular Front who are probably planning a hunger strike for after Ramadan. So if you hear anything, talk to them about something, any information. It should reach the administration immediately.
Do you have any hunger striking prisoners here?
A hunger strike is a means by which a prisoner in a democratic country can try and get what he thinks he should be getting. We had massive hunger strikes here. There are prisoners who fasted for between 30 to 40 days.
And how do you get them to stop the hunger strike before it ends with someone dying?
As regards the hunger strikes, everything is according to the law. On this matter, the prison service is in touch with the health ministry, and we get guidelines from them. You mentioned the forced feeding law. This is something that's on the political level, which is being decided now, and I prefer not to relate to it.
Despite the over 70 cameras spread throughout the prison, the trained dogs patrolling the fence, the most sophisticated security means in the world, about 1 year ago, several security prisoners almost managed to escape.
There are prisoners here serving multiple life sentences, very dangerous prisoners who have nothing to lose, so they try to escape all the time. They tried to dig a 2 to 3 meter tunnel from the toilets, but we found it in time. Even now, as we talk, someone is plotting to escape from this jail.
One of the ways the prisoners try to escape is by setting a fire. One of the most important drills the wardens go through is what to do when that happens.
When there is a fire in a cell, it gets complicated. The prisoner cannot open his cell door. He depends on us. On the one hand, there were times when prisoners started a fire to distract the wardens and try and escape.
Among the wardens at the prison is 20-year-old Sahar Buskila, here as part of her military service.
In the beginning, I was very apprehensive. I didn't want to see the prisoners. I'd see guards in the yards with prisoners, and I was shocked.
What exactly were you afraid of?
There were security prisoners. They're here because they hurt people like me, Jews, Israelis. So why wouldn't they hurt me as well?
Do they try to talk with you?
Yeah, in the beginning, when you're new, they try to push the boundaries to see if it's possible to bribe you, to get closer to you.
What did they try to offer you?
I heard stories that they offer money to exchange for a phone, in exchange to things that's forbidden to bring into the prison.
This is one of the wings at Gilboa prison. The prison authorities refuse to let us interview the security prisoners or even film their faces. One of the prisoners here is Amjad Awad, who together with his cousin murdered the Fogel family, the parents, and their 3 children. On March 11, 2011, at 8:30 in the evening, Awad and his cousin infiltrated the Itamar settlement in the northern West Bank. They broke into an empty house, stole a weapon, and then entered the Fogel family home. They shot and strangled the parents, Udi and Ruth, and the children, Yoav, aged 11, Elas, aged 4, and the baby Hadass, 3 months old at the time. About 1 month after the murders, the 2 terrorists, Hakam and Amjad Awad, were caught. They confessed to the murders and reenacted them. A military court sentenced them each to 130 years in prison. Now, before Israel's parliament is a bill which would give the death sentence to them and other terrorists who murder.
We operate here according to the Third Geneva Convention, according to international law. They receive all their rights and more. There are prisoners here who carried out horrific acts, and there is a conflict. On the one hand, I represent the victims and Israeli society, and on the other hand, the prisoners are in my care. I have to take into account whatever the specific prisoner did, but put it on one side and see the person opposite me. Not a murderer or someone who carried out a terrorist act, and it's not easy.
And in fact, the list of rights handed to security prisoners in Israel is long and controversial. They're entitled to family visits, visits from their lawyers and parliamentarians. They get newspapers and have 13 television channels in their cells. Each prisoner receives 2,000 shekels per month from the Palestinian Authority. They're entitled to visits from doctors and dentists and can take books that have passed censorship out of the prison library. And despite all this, it's a cell phone which is the most coveted thing of all in prison.
As regards smuggling prohibited items into the prison, the most popular is a cell phone. They try to do it every way, for example, during a hug with a child, or in someone's plaster cast, or hidden in a person's private parts.
A cell phone is only one of many things which can help a prisoner plan a terror action from within the jail. This is their main objective. They sit year after year. Time needed to plan is not a problem, and neither is motivation. Carrying out a major action planned from within jail would be a huge triumph for the prisoners and for the Palestinian leadership.
Are there attempts to plan a terrorist act from within prison?
Definitely. Planning a terrorist action does not only depend on having a cell phone, it can also be done via family messages, via a lawyer. I can hermetically prevent such an action being planned in prison. All it needs is to simply stop everything. Not allowing lawyers to visit or families or parliament members, but it's impossible to come and say, okay, there was a terrorist act planned from prison, I'm canceling all prisoners' rights and privileges. Not here, not in Israel.
These prisoners, murderers according to the Israelis, heroes in Palestinian eyes, are Israel's greatest bargaining chip in any negotiation over a prisoner exchange. They are also the next generation of the Palestinian leadership in the occupied territories, those who will decide whether the Palestinians turn to peace or continue the conflict.
And with me right now, our home guest, Ashraf Al-Ajrami, former Palestinian Minister of Prisoner Affairs. Good evening. Thank you very, very much for coming. You know these stories up close. Yes. You know the story of each and every prisoner. You know the deals. You know what they are going through. And how is it perceived in the Palestinian side? Because we are hearing a lot of criticism, for example, in the Israeli society about the fact that terrorists who are sitting inside the Israeli jails are receiving the treatment of royalty. Is it so? Do the Palestinians see it? The families are seeing this in the same way?
Unfortunately, in Israel, they don't understand the situation the Palestinian people or the Palestinian society. The Palestinian people is under occupation, and the international law gives the Palestinians the right to struggle against the occupation with all means, even with weapons. And so the Palestinian revolution, the Palestinian factions, movements, all of them gain their credit by these means of struggle. So it is important for Palestinians to see the record of everyone, every Palestinian fighter or leader.
So the terror, you want to tell me that the Palestinians are seeing like the terrorists that killed the Fogel family as what? As legitimate struggle?
No. We don't speak about specific
cases.
Yes, we are speaking in general. This is the right of the Palestinian people to fight against the occupation.
But the people who are inside the prisons are people who committed murders.
No, we can't say that, because even when they did terrorism or terrorist attacks against the Israelis, they are victims because of the situation, because of the losing the hope of normal life, because of decades of Israeli...
But, Mr. Al-Hajami, do you see this as, and you are seeing this situation, do you see this when a person is getting into a bus or getting into a house and killing innocent people? This is legitimate? This is a legitimate fight?
No one can say that. No one can, even the leadership all the times condemns every kind of every action against the civilians, if they are Palestinians or Israelis. But unfortunately, this is the situation. The people are under the effect of many organizations, even many countries.
We are talking about, I will tell you why, because if we're looking at this specific short film that we saw, and I'm looking, these are people that might get out, maybe mass murderers, terrorists, that might get out in 20 years, or won't get out, I don't know, or will get out, and be the leaders of the Palestinian society. These are the leaders that the Palestinian society is looking at?
No. We don't think that every one of these people must be a leader or
some of them.
Some of them, yes, of course, because of the political vision and political attitude, and if they again get charisma and other things that maybe qualify him to be a leader. It is not related to what he did. But the Palestinian society sees all of the Palestinian prisoners as heroes. This is the Israelis and maybe the whole world cannot see what the Palestinian society sees in these people. It is the situation. Because
different understanding. Unfortunately, I don't have more time. I wanted, but I don't. Mr. Ashraf Al-Ajami, thank you very much. For our viewers who speak Arabic, we will have another discussion with former Palestinian Minister of Prisoner Affairs in the Arabic channel.